Hey everybody, it's Kelly. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Therapist. Today we're continuing our Why Is It So Hard series with the topic, why is it so hard to forget the past? So that one's a little bit of a complicated one. I'm going to do my best to answer it, but the problem is that for everyone, the answer is going to be a little bit different. But ultimately, the answer is it doesn't have to be. Before I get into that, please take a moment and go ahead and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up so I know you liked the video. Hit the bell so you get notifications. Thank you so much. The idea that it's hard to forget the past comes from the fact that most of us don't ever actually learn from our past in the first place. Connected to evolution, our brains hold on to the negative thoughts, the negative experiences, and the negative assumptions that we have because that's what we learn from. It's not productive for the furthering of the species for us to remember joyful times. It's not productive for us to remember the times that we did things right or the times that we got accolades. That's why when someone insults you, it takes so much longer for you to get your confidence built back up. Because as humans, we retain and grow from those negative experiences more than the positive ones. And that's important for you to understand because there's part of your brain that is just wired to remember the negativity. The problem is, on a psychological level, we take that negativity and we apply it to ourselves and our assumptions about ourselves, our assumptions about our past, and our assumptions about our future, and our relationships with others that are not accurate. But we don't know any other way to do it. So in the most general way that I can say this, the reason it is so hard to forget the past is because your psychological brain is trying to learn from it. If the past is stopping you from growing and being who you want to be in the present, then it has essentially formatted that memory incorrectly. What we do as therapists is we try to help you to reframe. Therapy buzzword here. Reframing actually means to change the frame of an assumption. If I went through most of elementary school without friends, I could walk away from that experience assuming that I am not worth being friends with. A therapist could help me to reframe that in the idea that maybe I didn't have the skills to make friends with other people, or other people didn't have the skills to make friendships. Maybe I had a family situation going on that I was getting messages at home that I couldn't talk to anybody about, which put up an emotional wall between me and the rest of my peers. There are so many other things that could have been going on then that the least logical conclusion I could draw from that is actually that I'm not worth being friends with, right? As an elementary school child who has lived through it, I'm not going to be able to automatically reframe that correctly. The experience is I didn't have many friends. The experience wasn't I'm not worth being friends with. The feeling from the experience was I'm not worth being friends with. Often we mix up the feeling of the experience and the actual experience. The facts of what we've gone through in our lives are just that. They are facts. They are not feelings. They are not assumptions. They are not conclusions. They are facts. The problem is, to know facts of what went on in your life, you would have to, in a non-emotional way, be able to retell the past. That's not really an option for most people, at least not in themselves. They would need to have someone guide them through that. So in reality, what I'm saying is the reason it is so hard to forget the past is because you don't know how to do that. Biologically, we hold on to the past to learn from it. But in psychological terms, we hold on the past because we're afraid of what happens if we do not continue to hold on to those lessons. Even if those lessons say negative things about you, your psychological side is trying to save you from hurt. Much of what we do in life is attempting to save us from hurt, whether it's physical or emotional, mental, whatever. It is the goal of most of our facilities to save us from hurt. Somewhere in our past, we got the message that life wasn't ever supposed to hurt. That's just not true. Life is going to hurt sometimes, and life is going to be good sometimes. Understanding that none of those things actually last and all of those things do come around again is what helps a psychologically balanced person to handle all of those things in the healthiest frame. Now, for most of us, we are not healthy psychologically, and so the idea that our memory might be wrong is also scary. The idea that our assumptions about a situation might be wrong are generally not accepted, because to accept that you were wrong about your past means accepting that you could be doing it differently. In general, human beings will do whatever they can to avoid pain. And when they're doing whatever they can to avoid pain, they are going to create an idea of the past that may or may not be accurate, but will be something that helps us to avoid things that happen to us, help us to avoid repeating things and having those emotions come up again, especially the very vulnerable ones, especially the very negative ones. In another recent video, I talked about forgiveness, and I talked about the fact that forgiveness doesn't have to mean forgetting. I truly believe that forgiveness of something has nothing to do with the other person and everything to do with you. We do need to forget our incorrect assumptions about events. Okay? I had a conversation recently with a group of peers and teenagers. And in that conversation, I said that I think one of the things that we get so wrong is the shame factor. If someone lies to me and I believe them, when they reveal themselves to have been a liar, I feel ashamed. And I say, well, I'm never going to let someone put me in that place again because I want to avoid shame, right? Not so much. The idea that I bear any responsibility for the hurt that has happened when someone else lies to me is bizarre. But we all do it. We all feel ashamed when we have been foolish. That's the term that we use, right? If someone has lied to us, if someone has deceived us in any kind of a way, we were fools because we trusted. Have any of you ever said that to yourself? I was a fool because I trusted them. That's ridiculous. Stop saying that to yourself. You are not a fool because you trusted someone. They made a bad choice by violating that trust. That has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them and the choices that they're making in their lives. I can't begin to explain why people have betrayed your trust in your lifetime, but I can tell you that trusting someone is not a negative in you. Betraying a trust is a negative in them. Maybe you're somebody who's been told you trust too easily. While I think often that's not actually true. People don't trust too easily. The people around them think they do because people around them don't trust anybody. If you feel like you trust people, new people say, too easily, then having someone in your life that you trust to speak truth into your life as sort of like a fact checker for you in order to help you to be realistic about what you're expecting from this person, that's a great idea. Therapists are really good at that. I'm just saying. If you're somebody who finds yourself over and over and over again being hurt or lied to or having your trust betrayed by the same type of person, a friend, a significant other, someone in authority over you, whatever it is, if you find yourself over and over again having your trust betrayed in the same way, the question then becomes not what is wrong with me that I keep doing this. It's what are you looking for in this type of person? And is there another way for you to get that in your life besides trusting the same type of person over and over and over again? Because that's not getting you what you want. So obviously this video is a little bit also about trust, right? And I will do a deeper one on trusting people, but the trust comes so closely with forgetting the past. Most people who have trouble forgetting their past and moving forward in their lives have that trouble because someone has violated their trust, and that's what they have a hard time forgetting. But it's not just the forgetting of the betrayal, it's the understanding of why your trust may have been misplaced or may have been correctly placed in the first place, and dealing with that, because that breaks those patterns. So ultimately, my answer for all of this is it's hard to forget the past because it is hard to figure out why we get ourselves in situations that hurt. I try to avoid hurt by keeping the past with us and not allowing ourselves to be in those situations again. So here's what I want you to do. So if you want to start working on how to forget your past, I guess I'd more encourage you to start working on how to forgive your past, but that's that other video, right? How to forget your past. You have to start with healing the things that went wrong, not doing it for anyone else. Your forgiveness of other people, your forgetting of past issues, that is not for anyone else's sake besides your own, and that's okay. It should be for you. There are a lot of things that have happened to us in our past that are not quite so easy to get over. And it really varies from person to person what is easy to get over and what's not. So in the things that you find it difficult to move past in your life, and you find the decisions you're making now to be connected to how you felt or how you were impacted by that situation, there are a number of things I can suggest. Number one, I would suggest talking to a trusted friend about what has happened. If you do not have anyone in your life that you are able to be honest about what this particular experience was, that's another story. For most people, they will have at least one trusted person in their lives that they can come clean to, basically. Number 2, I would suggest finding a peer support group or some other type of facilitated group for people dealing with that particular issue. Number 3, you can absolutely seek out a therapist. Not everyone is ready for therapy all the time. So that's not always my go-to answer for everything. Go find a therapist, because if you're not ready for it, it's just going to make everything more problematic. Ultimately, the reason that it is so difficult to forget about your past is because you are wired to keep your past for future learning. And that makes sense. If certain situations become triggers for you to make bad decisions, to feel badly about yourself, stop going into those situations as much as possible. You don't always have to completely forget your past happened in order to have a happy future. There are important lessons from our past that we need to keep with us in order to move forward. What we don't need to keep with us are the negative assumptions about ourselves that come with a lot of that memory holding. Maybe you did mess up. Maybe the thing in your past that you're having trouble forgetting about is something you messed up on. Can you fix it? Are there any amends that you can make in the situation that will not make the situation worse for those who were hurt? Looking for forgiveness from other people is essential, but also grounded in ourselves. If you've hurt someone, you can apologize to them. You can try to talk to them, and you can honor what they ask you to do. If they ask you not to come near them, if they ask you not to talk to them, if they ask you not to be in their lives, then do your best to do that, because that's up to them. And then work on forgiving and letting go of it yourself, because you don't have to be haunted by that forever either. Right? That's it for today. Go ahead and drop a comment down below if you have anything that you want to say about this video, or any other, or a topic that you want me to cover. I will see you all next week. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.